Hi there, welcome to the Fierce Factor podcast. I'm your host, Kaylee Lindholm. And I think it's time for us women to shift the conversation in business and step into our feminine leadership to do the most iconic work the aesthetic industry has ever seen. Each week, I'll be bringing a powerful dose of strategy, sarcasm, solutions, and sass that will rev up your creativity and ignite your brilliance as you link arms with me along our shared path of personal and professional growth in 20 minutes or less. Let's go. Hello, leader. Welcome back to the Fierce Factor podcast. I'm your host, Kaylee Lindholm, and I'm on a mission to help 100 inspiring and intentional women cross the next $1 million milestone in their business this year. Thank you so much for tuning in today. You are listening to episode 83, another reflections episode where we are going to talk about the internal shift to becoming competitionless. And today I wanted to share some insights behind our recent release of our new program. I'm sure you heard me talk ad nauseum about, called Confidence to Scale, and how I am really proud of the success so far, but more importantly, proud of how we have handled the process. And I say this because the young entrepreneur, my younger, more naive self, would have set a results-based goal and then stressed and freaked out if we weren't on track to achieving that goal. But the more mature, more methodical, and more strategic thinking CEO I am now spends 3 times as much energy on planning, process building, and value stacking than on the actual execution of the program. And for Team KLC, this has been a major mindset shift around our approach to service delivery and has been game-changing for our company and our clients. In this Reflections episode, I'd like to share some of the insights into our recent program release as kind of a case study for how to design a program or launch a proprietary service to serve a population of underserved, under-researched, and under-recognized business owners, and how for us a year of strategic planning has been the catalyst for growth that has positioned us as competitionless in our market. My goal is that you too can make this mindset shift around all of the things in your business, building team, launching new services, programs, or offers, and really begin to separate yourself further and further from the sea of competition and Me Too providers out there. And Reflection Series is really a podcast that I record every 15 episodes, with the exception of this one. I think our last one was 18 episodes ago. And that's just only because I wanted to squeeze in the hiring series in response to such high demand for guidance around navigating this hiring trauma happening in practices across the country. P.S. If you didn't get a chance to check those out, you can head back to the past 4 episodes. I think they would be 79 to 82 for a boot camp on hiring. So back to reflections. Every 15 episodes, I take a dose of my own medicine and I really pull my perspective up to a high level as a reflection of how I've personally navigated business development as an entrepreneur. Remember, leader, I'm facing the same challenges as you. And it always frustrates me when I'm listening to people on their podcast and they're sitting up on their high horse podium talking about how awesome they are. And they don't really share with you the nuts and bolts and the struggles that they go through to accomplish the things that they accomplish. And I think that's an important part. And, really, for me, it's to get really honest with myself about what I've learned, applied, tried, and failed at or succeeded at that's impacted my personal growth. One of the most powerful things about leading by action is the ability to really intimately understand and relate to your clients and partners. And that's what this is for me. I named this episode The Internal Shift to Become Competitionless because as I sat down to think about what the past 18 weeks have cultivated, it's really a powerful place of clarity and conviction that positions our company in a very unique space and leaves us without competition. Essentially, this program has moved us into a category of one and only. Last year, however, competition was fresh on my mind. When COVID hit, there was an influx of consultants, coaches, reps who called themselves consultants, business development companies, you name it, they're all jumping into the practice development space in response to a booming demand for business support as practices were in lockdown. And while the new pop-up consultants certainly didn't have the credentials or experience or proven results that our company could offer, there was a lot of noise out there, and many of us were shouting the same message: pivot or die. Remember that one? On the client side, many practice owners were falling victim to the vulnerability of uncertainty, and they would sort of instinctively turn their focus to their competition. It was a competition cesspool. And that period of time really made me take pause and evaluate what competition meant, why it was in fact healthy, and what call to action I and our amazing clients, of course, could take to address such issues. So I highly recommend, if you haven't been there, head back or visit it again, even head back to episode 11. The title is The Cure for Comparisonitis. And I wrote an entire episode in response to things I was hearing, things like, everyone is so competitive out there, or social media has created a low barrier to entry, and everyone thinks they're an expert now. And while in some ways this actually is true, this also represents an opportunity for true leaders, the true quality to rise to the top. And in this episode, I challenge you and AKA myself, right, to reframe your mindset to view the saturated market you feel like you're a victim of as more of a thriving ecosystem. And you know, what I have learned, leader, is that top performers, they do not obsess over competition. They stay focused on their own path and their own game. And that is precisely why we created this Confidence to Scale, or CTS, a 6-week business empowerment curriculum that helps in-demand aesthetic injectors scale their business through assets instead of hustle. And if you want to check out more information about that, you can head to klcconsultants.com/scale. I'll hook that up in the show notes as well. But I'm going to walk you through this podcast really in 5 pieces. And as we're working through these parts, I want to encourage you to think about your next big move in your business. So maybe it's a new hire, a new laser, launching a training program, writing a book, right? You know what it is. You know, leader, it's in your mind, right? Or maybe you don't know and you're thinking about, what move do I make? And this sort of strategy and this decision filter is going to help you get clarity around what move to make next. I want you to think about how you can apply this set of filters to set yourself up for a successful launch of that big move, okay? So in this case study, I'm going to talk to you about these 5 areas. 1, why we decided to launch CTS, right? So what is the business case for it? What it is and who it serves, where it fits into our value stack in our business. Number 4, successes and lessons learned, right? There's no such thing as failure. And then 5, tips for how you can apply a 5-step process in your business to your next event, product launch, new location expansion, or even offloading new business, which I like to call sashaying, to your new provider or team member. So let's begin by talking about why we decided to launch CTS to begin with. So if you're new around here, first of all, welcome. You have found your home if you are an ambitious female owner in aesthetics and wellness, and you are done with the samey advice, and you're more interested in building your company your own damn way. I launched KLC 6 years ago after spending a decade in sales management and marketing. I was in skincare, sold aesthetic devices on the corporate side. And let me tell you, this world has changed since I was a 24-year-old, bright-eyed, energetic, and eager young sales rep. The aesthetic industry back in the day was priming. I remember stories about sales reps taking orders for laser hair removal machines through faxes while they sat on the couch in their underwear. This is kind of an inside joke in the laser industry. Those of you who've been around for a while know what I'm talking about. The point is, there was very little competition. There were a few aesthetic providers. There was a growing demand for non-invasive services, and very few companies had devices that could serve that population. And ironically, now the joke is that you have to actually buy a laser to get rid of the sales rep. Like, you know, it's just hilarious. The fact that I was one, you know, I can say this stuff, right? I was at the Global Aesthetic Conference a couple weeks ago in Miami, and the doctors at my lunch table advised me to take the long route around the back of the exhibit hall, to walk along the perimeter to avoid the reps who will attack you like a vulture while you're trying to get to the back to grab your lunch. It's hilarious they set it up that way. I'm cracking up. Anyway, times have changed. We have more and more patients seeking treatments, more and more providers jumping into the aesthetic industry, and more companies serving them. The fact that aesthetics industry did $9 billion during a 2020 pandemic is not only mind-blowing, but was very enlightening for me on many levels. The biggest aha being that the influx of new aesthetic practices in 2021 is creating a significant imbalance by volume of the number of highly skilled providers who are already in demand for their services versus the younger, less established businesses, and specifically for injectors. Let's assume you're already credentialed with the basic degrees you need to legally provide care, right? If you decided you wanted to become a plastic surgeon in 2021, you'd set the clock to launch your business sometime in 2030, 2035, right? But if you wanted to start injecting in 2021, you can take a weekend course and launch an Instagram account. You're in business, literally. I'm going to let you sit with that for a minute. Coupled with the fact that my 9-year-old is seeing Botox commercials on TV, accessibility to toxins and fillers are at an all-time high. Toxin prices are going down on average 20% year over year. Don't believe me? Just open Google Groupon and look at it. And providers are flooding to the market. This is telling me that we are on a slippery slope to facing demoralizing provider commoditization. What that means is that patients are seeking treatments by name and providers are becoming more like servers in restaurants, just taking orders and delivering goods than they are credentialed experts being sought after for their years of experience, their own game-changing philosophies, and their proprietary approaches. Now, if this is not making your hair stand up on the back of your neck, you need to hit the rewind button and listen to that again. Leader, this is our reality. This is not a FOMO or a scare tactic. This is our reality. And this is really the first piece to our business case for CTS. The second piece to our business case for CTS framework is the economic and social climate post-COVID. More and more people are reevaluating what it means to work, what their relationship is going to be with work, and what kind of lifestyle they want for themselves, how that lifestyle will shape their future. Have you noticed more injectors leaving employer partnerships to start their own businesses, or providers just getting fed up with the healthcare system and ready to capitalize on a lucrative aesthetic marketplace? U.S. women-owned businesses are generating $1.8 trillion a year, and that number is growing exponentially post-pandemic. What that means for in-demand injectors is that they can expect their competition to triple over the next 3 years. This prediction is a key sign for opportunity for injectors who have already established businesses with a healthy book of business and clients who love them. As you can see, we have intensively researched, studied trends, and forecasted growth gaps in this space. And that is part one of our methodology behind launching our new program. So step one, what is the business case for your new move? The next step in this launch process is getting crystal clear about who this program is for and how it will help them solve their problem. So as we were interviewing our aesthetic injector clients, we began to expose a universal dilemma for in-demand business owners. So many of them were incredibly skilled at their craft. They had built a very organic patient flow, meaning much of their business came from word of mouth referrals. Yes, this is a very good thing, but given the socioeconomics of what we uncovered in part one, the influx of demand will begin to work against them. That really intimate referral-driven business means new patients are asking for them by name. They're essentially seeking treatment from a service provider, an individual person, not a business. And the problem with this is the finite number of hours in a day. Essentially, a provider can only see so many patients per day, and at some point, this factor will limit their growth. And what this in fact means is that the only way to grow this book of business at scale is to hire another injector to treat patients, another business manager to free more time, or build a new asset-based model that will serve as a secondary revenue stream. They need the tools to grow through assets instead of their time or their hustle. Notice what I did not do here is pick up the phone from a sales rep who told me there's a demand for business education for aesthetic providers. I didn't go to a conference to learn what's hot. I looked internally to our most valuable buyers and evaluated how the larger gap in the market was impacting them and how this impact would create bottlenecks for them or create a bigger pain point or barrier to growth if it is not addressed. And why I use this example is that all too often we get excited about what's new or what's hot out there, or worse, we invest in something because we believe it will bring us new customers. If you are not gaining traction or new business with the products and services you are already offering, this is where the investment of time and resources should be spent on identifying what's broken so you don't add more complexity and cost to your business. The next piece to this expansion process is to think through how the initiative will best fit into your business model. So for today's case study, we can use CTS as an example. Now that we had identified who our specific target audience was for this product, we needed to think of how to best deliver this service within our existing business model. We had to evaluate how it would fit into our business ecosystem. Where does it fit into the value stack? Is it a low price leader that will attract people to learn more about us? Will it be an add-on to another program? Will it be best bundled with another product or service? Or does it not fit in at all? Does the model need adjustment? So perhaps you're in this spot with the need to bring in an esthetician. Let's just use that as an example. And you might be looking at your business model to decide where the service fits into the total client journey. Is it to attract new clients to the business? To support VIP membership clients, to keep surgical patients coming back to the practice, to complement other procedures? Often when we are looking to bring on a new employee, we're all over the place for the best fit. For example, is an esthetician with a book of business a pro or a con for me? Could a book of clients help grow cross referrals to other services, or will the cost I pay for a more experienced employee suffocate the margins I can make on those services? In this case, perhaps a less established provider with a hunger to grow with you might be a better fit for the business. So these are questions that need to be answered before we even go to the hiring table. Many problems arise because we make the decision and implement without evaluating the alignment with our existing business model. The next place we want to look at is what is the most effective way to deliver this service? So here we're thinking about convenience and value for the customer, and also efficiency for the company. So what system will give me the best ability to seamlessly serve my clients at the very highest level? For us, this came back to really understanding our customers. They're ridiculously busy. They don't have time or patience for fluff. They're straight shooters. They want practical, high-value content, and they want to consume it on their own damn time. Then we had to look at our internal resources and our ability to run this program at its highest level. Did it make sense to run another live program? Do we have the human power to scale up as demand grows? How could we create an on-demand experience for customers, but also keep high touch with them? That's when we decided on a format we had actually never explored, a private podcast. We knew that our Fierce Factor podcast was experiencing exponential listenership. We had the expertise in launching and producing a top-rated podcast, and we knew that audio was a desired way to consume content among our avatar. But we didn't want this to be a program for everyone. This was strategically designed for the in-demand injector only. We knew the pain points this woman had. We knew what challenges she would be facing going into 2022, and we knew that she should be engaging in a higher level conversation with other colleagues at her level. So we decided to create a private community, a 25-page resource guide to help her transfer the learned skills and tools into strategic implementation into her bespoke business. I remember working with a company a few years ago who was a first to market with a vaginal rejuvenation device. They asked me to prepare a talk for their customers on how to launch and market this service in their practice. The treatment outside of the sole clinical application was so novel, I had to do quite a bit of research, really hadn't been in the aesthetic industry quite yet. When I gave the talk, I was getting questions from the audience about challenges they were having with women not wanting their male plastic surgeon or their high volume med spa with revolving providers treating the most vulnerable part of their body. I was like, hello. Several practices bought early into this market with hopes of capturing early market share, but in their haste of becoming an early adopter, they overlooked how they would deliver the service in a way that best accommodated their most valuable clients and that fit their existing business model. And in many cases, it was a failure, not because it wasn't a great treatment, because these questions had not been asked and these dilemmas not answered ahead of time. Too often, we're hyper-focused on selling or offering a procedure that we fail to methodically plan for how we will best deliver that service. And the final piece to this process is to determine how results will be measured. And not every initiative is created solely to bring revenue. In our case, CTS is a break-even product. It is priced to effectively educate and wow our target customer and give them a very clear picture of our philosophy, approach, and expectations of what it will be like to work with us long term. We don't measure transactions, we measure relationships. And our success is built upon a shared growth plan with our clients. Perhaps you're running an event and the goal is to make $100,000. Or perhaps your goal is to drive brand exposure to a new location or to reactivate lost patients. It's important to set a goal that incentivizes results that mirror your bigger objective. Before you're ready to expand, launch, hire, or diversify, this is a critical piece, leader. Understanding that there will be a process of iterating and refining. Maybe the first time you do something, your biggest takeaway is, let's not freaking do that again. And I've been there. But this is also part of the process of growth. The failures are best lessons learned. Embrace them. Okay, so now on to the reflections piece. I started working on this project nearly a year ago, and it started with an energetic feeling, almost like a pull. It was just like I was being grabbed to do this. And most of the results in my life have honestly come from a very different type of energy. I was a college athlete, and in order to perform at the highest level, I had to do. I had to push, I had to hustle, I had to be first, and I had to win at all costs. But I have to be honest, this mentality has not served me so well as an entrepreneur. A few years ago, I found myself bogged down by the game of trying to win. After all, I wanted to be the best and beat my competition. I was laden with fear over losing clients to competitors, and I was beating myself up if I didn't convince a client to work with me after a consultation call. I was questioning my marketing strategy, my approach. I was so hard on myself, and I seriously feel so sorry for that girl. As I've grown and matured, I've realized that everything I need to succeed, I already have. It's all inside of this beautiful brain of mine. And I turned my focus to surrounding myself with a team, support, and coaching that empowered me to do things on my own terms. And I'll tell you, this was not without adversity. I've made mishires, I've had flop programs, I've built entire business plans and made huge investments into things that didn't work. But rebounding from those curveballs is really what has strengthened my resolve and also my tenacity. And I've learned to trust myself. I've learned to give myself grace. Doesn't happen all the time, but it's a process, right? I've learned to seek help openly and get the coaching I need to keep me on track. And sometimes to challenge me when I need it. What I actually need is to just manage my thoughts or my expectations about a circumstance. Today, I shared with you a decision filter that has helped me plan, prepare, and anticipate how new initiatives will impact my business. And the magic behind slowing down to methodically plan is the clarity and confidence this gives you before making big investments or moves in your business. Focusing internally will allow you to become obsessed with adding value for your clients and create a more peaceful, calm, and calculated process of implementation. This is how you will fall back in love with your business, and this is how you will become peerless in your market. Leader, does this resonate for you? Are you planning big moves in your business next year? My team is quietly, strategically, and meticulously preparing some incredible business development and mindset growth programs, courses, and private coaching sessions for you and also your teams. And we would love the chance to link arms with you as you prepare for your own next phase of growth. You can learn more about this framework I talked to you about today at klcconsultants.com/scale. And listen, if you just want to get access, like get in with our community, get in on the free resources, join our mailing list. I send out weekly or bi-weekly inspiration and insider tips. You can get on this list by heading to, the link in my Instagram or klcconsultants.com/join. I hope this has been helpful, leader. Just to recap this filter for you, write these down, get your notebook out and in your journal, and use this filter as you are thinking about the next moves in your business. Why are you deciding to do it? What is the business case for this decision? Number 2, what is the program and who does it serve? Number 3, where does this fit into the value stack in your business? Number 4, what are successes and lessons learned from your past experiences? Also, what can you anticipate, right? So sort of thinking down the road of what would happen if something didn't work and how would we handle that situation? And then number 5, how will results be measured? And remember that not every result or initiative is solely created to bring revenue, but is it for brand building? Is it to create a better culture for your business? What is the actual strategy and the plan there? All right, leader, thank you for tuning in today. I hope this was helpful and I'll look forward to seeing you next week. Thank you for joining me for this episode of The Fierce Factor. If you enjoyed the show, please make sure you subscribe so you can automatically get new shows every week. I'd also love it if you left us a review. And come join the conversation online. If you're an aesthetic industry owner, operator, or leader, please join my free Facebook group, The Tribe of Fierce Aesthetic Leaders, a community of ambitious, purpose-driven professionals who collaborate and share best practices for growth in business and life. I'm honored you tuned in.